Hey everybody, this is Brian with Bear Cards 34, back with part 3 of the show and tell deep dive into Topps and Friends, which would be the other sets from 1990. On the left here I have the Reggie White All-Pro because I had forgotten to take that one out when I covered the Eagles, but a very nice insert card from Fleer for the Reggie White. I have a bunch of packs of Topps and plan to open some of these in the videos, but today I'm going to open the Stars and Stripes, and also I have a few packs of Pro Set 1990 season Series 2. I'm going to open one of those, hoping to get an Emmitt Smith rookie. There are a couple good rookies. Junior Seau is another one, so we'll see how that goes. So with the Stars and Stripes, after my first video I had showed a few Stars and Stripes cards, and Broncos Breaks, who's got a great channel, he and his son, he had mentioned that Stars and Stripes were the first cards that he ever owned back in his younger days. And he kind of described the box and the candy sticks, and it really brought back those memories. And so I decided I'd pick up a box of that and open it up for you guys. So this has 8 player cards and then 2 candy sticks. These candy sticks are over 3 decades old, so no, I will not be trying them out. However, hopefully I'll get a couple good cards in there. We got a Ronnie Lott to start things off, so a Hall of Famer there, which is nice. And then Don Luca, one of my viewers, he had a cool story that he told in the comments that, first of all, he mentioned that Stars and Stripes is actually made by Fleer, and then they're packaged by the candy company. And he mentioned that his uncle worked for Fleer back in the day, and then would hook him up with many boxes of these. So I thought that was a pretty cool story as well. All right, so our first team today is the Minnesota Vikings. So in 1989, they went 10-6. They were looking quite good. However, the year these cards came out, 1990, they flipped their record and they were only 6-10. Their head coach at the time was the late Jerry Burns, who actually only passed away last year. He lived to be 94 years old. Although the team did not have a good year, they did pick up a couple of great players. They were able to sign Chris Carter, who became a Hall of Fame wide receiver after a few years with the Eagles. And they also signed undrafted free agent John Randall, who ended up becoming an amazing player too. He did not have a card made in 1990, however, he was a part of that 1990 team. Hall of Famers included, along with Chris Carter, we had Randall McDaniel, as well as Gary Zimmerman, and the late Chris Dolman as well. So they have Rick Fenny there spotting his opening as the team card. And they also had a 1,000 Yard Club card of Anthony Carter. The defense was just amazing in 1989. So the quarterback sacks leaders included Lee Williams of the Chargers and then Chris Dolman of the Vikings for the NFC. And in fact, Chris Dolman was the leader for the entire NFL that year. He had 21 quarterback sacks, and despite having that amazing season, which was only one off the quote-unquote official quarterback sack record of the time, he was not the Defensive Player of the Year. That went to his teammate, Keith Millard, who was the Defensive Player of the Year. In fact, Keith Millard had 90 tackles and 18 quarterback sacks as a defensive tackle, which is just really impressive. The Vikings from 1990 had a few Pro Bowlers, and again, their defense was just fantastic. So we had Joey Browner at safety, Chris Dolman at defensive end. Of course, we had Keith Millard. Looks like he is celebrating some sort of a turnover, maybe even a touchdown in the Pro Bowl, but looking pretty happy there. We also had tight end Steve Jordan, whose son is it Cameron? Yeah, Cameron Jordan is playing, or no, Cameron Hayward. Is it Cameron Jordan? Anyway, his son is playing in the NFL as well, and he's very, very good. We also have Randall McDaniel, Pro Bowl card, and another great offensive lineman, Gary Zimmerman. Now, there were All-Pro cards from Score as well. So we have the Chris Dolman, the Gary Zimmerman, and the Keith Millard. And again, that's him with that football. So it looks like these are from the same play, potentially, right there, maybe. Anyway, nice looking cards there. And then in the inserts for Fleer, you could get the All-Pro cards, and they had Keith Millard, and Chris Dolman. The Score Ground Force cards were one of my favorite subsets from that year, and Herschel Walker had a card there. We also had 3 collectabooks from Pro Set, so that included the Keith Millard right here. Great player. Had some injuries that really kind of slowed him down after that amazing season, but he super talented defensive tackle for sure. Joey Browner, whose brother Ross, who passed away recently, Ross Browner did, but he was a very good player for the Bengals for quite some time. And then the late Wade Wilson, right here. So 3 of those for the Vikings. We also had 1 All-Madden team selection, which was Anthony Carter, just a very, very good wide receiver for sure. And then we have Stars and Stripes, Joey Browner, Chris Dolman, Gary Zimmerman, and Keith Millard as well. So a few of those for the Vikings. One player on the Vikings with rookie cards that year was Reggie Rutland. He had them for Topps, Pro Set, and Score. Wasn't a big name in the NFL, but I didn't do a ton, but I just wanted to highlight him because he had a statistic that I thought was pretty cool. He once held the record for the longest interception return for touchdowns for both the Vikings. In 1991, he had a 97-yard interception return for a touchdown, and then he also held the record for the Cleveland Browns with another 97-yard interception return for a touchdown in 1993. He also scored on a 45-yard return back in 87 and a fumble recovery in 89 that he ran back for 27 yards. So definitely dangerous when he would get the ball. So a pretty solid rookie from that year for the Vikings was these Rich Gannon cards. He had 3 made, Topps, Pro Set, and then the Fleer. And he was a 4th-round pick by the Patriots back in 1987 out of Delaware. What's interesting is the Patriots had planned to convert him into a running back. However, Minnesota was looking for a backup quarterback. They had 2 older quarterbacks in Wilson, and Tommy Kramer was very much at the end of his career. So they traded to pick up Rich Gannon. And Gannon only threw 21 passes in his first 3 seasons before getting his first start in 1990 after Wade Wilson was injured. And then by 91, he was playing a lot more. In 1992, he became the official starting quarterback, and he led the Vikings to the playoffs with an 11-5 season. He went on to play for Washington, the Chiefs, and then most notably the Raiders, where he had his best years, definitely. He was a 2-time All-Pro selection with the Raiders in 2000 and 2002. He was the 3-time Offensive Player of the Year, and 2 All-Pro selections. Like I said, he won the NFL MVP in 2002 and made a Super Bowl appearance with the team. You know, he unfortunately he lost to the Buccaneers for the Raiders fans, lost to the Buccaneers, and he had a horrible game. He set a record with 5 interceptions, but that didn't take away from that great season and leading the Raiders to the Super Bowl the way he did. So he had a very successful career, ended up playing 18 years in total. So definitely a good rookie card there. Next up, we've got the Washington Redskins, now known as the Commanders. In 1990, they went 10-6. They beat the Eagles in the wild card round, but then lost to the 49ers in the divisional game. That's a coaching card of Joe Gibbs in the middle from Pro Set. And that year, Pro Set also had the Super Bowl Supermen, which consisted of the best players of the Super Bowl up to 1990, and included Joe Gibbs in that too. And I really like that picture there with he and Joe Theismann studying the play. And the Redskins that year, yeah, they were very good. They had some good running backs, Gerald Riggs included. And to show you some of the Hall of Famers, we had Art Monk, and we also had the great Darrell Green. And for the Pro Bowl, highlighted in the 1990 Pro Bowl after the 89 season, we had quarterback Mark Rypien. We had Charles Mann as well. And what was really impressive was the receiving corps from 1989. So they have a 1,000-yard club card for Gary Clark. And then one of my all-time favorite receivers, Art Monk. And the third of the trio to get 1,000 yards in '89, Ricky Sanders. So of those 1,000-yard club cards you could pick up from the packs of tops, 3 of those were Washington wide receivers. There's also a really nice Art Monk Rocket Man card right there. Looks like a nice little catch going on there. And then the Mark Rypien Hot Gun card. I also have one Washington Stars and Stripes card, and that would be Mark Rypien. I'm going to include this here. I might also throw it in with the Detroit team. But another card here in 1990, it kind of mentions that he signed in March with the Redskins. But Walter Stanley was the '89 NFL punt return leader and then went on to play with them that year. And we also have some All-Madden cards. John Madden had picked Gary Clark, offensive tackle Jim Lachey, and Hall of Fame defensive back Darrell Green as All-Madden team participants. We also had one collect-a-book, that was Charles Mann, right here. And here is the drawing right there. And there we go. The action shot. That might be James Brooks he's tackling there, who's one of my favorite players of all time. Pro Set also had some insert cards of Super Bowl MVPs, and that would include John Riggins, as well as the really impressive MVP performance of Doug Williams in Super Bowl 22. And for Super Bowl Superman, we had John Riggins, of course, who was quite good. And Timmy Smith. I mean, if you're going to have one great game, there's no better place to do it than in the Super Bowl. We also had Ricky Sanders on the team. Joe Jacoby, great offensive tackle. Kick returner Mike Nelms. And Joe Theismann. And then they also had 2 Super Bowl moment cards. They had the Smurfs Hold Celebration, so that was their nickname because of their small size. But they, great picture there from the Super Bowl. And then the Doug Williams moment where Williams and the Redskins explode. Really dominated Denver in that game. I remember that game as a kid, and I was sure Denver was going to win, so it was quite a surprise for me. Next up, we've got Stan Humphries rookie card. He was a 6th-round pick in 1988 out of Northeast Louisiana. He sat out 1988, his rookie season, due to some kind of a blood clot or blood condition, blood disorder. So anyway, he was not able to play that first year. He also had, along with that score, he also had a Fleer rookie card as well. And he spent his first 4 years with Washington. He actually grew up in the same hometown as Terry Bradshaw. And threw for over 1,000 yards in 1990. Thus, you'll see some of these cards that were made of him. But he was a backup in 91 when Washington won Super Bowl 26. By 92, he had been traded to the Chargers, and the plan was that he would be a backup to John Freeze. But John Freeze got injured in the preseason, and Stan Humphries really took advantage of that. He ended up throwing for over 3,300 yards, which was 5th best in the NFL. And he took San Diego from a 4-12 record in 91 to an 11-5 record in 92. And what's even more impressive with that 11-5 season is that the team started off 0-4. So they basically went 11-1 the rest of the year. In 94, the Chargers upset the Steelers to earn a trip to the Super Bowl, and it's their first and only appearance so far for San Diego. Now, if you remember, in that Super Bowl, they played the 49ers, and Steve Young just went nuts, and they lost 49-26. But it was still a very impressive season for him, and he had some success in San Diego, and so he is on the San Diego 50th anniversary team. He had 3 playoff appearances, and like I said, that only Super Bowl spot. So he did some really good things with San Diego. And then I will also show you, this is mostly just because if you follow my channel, you know I like to give a shout out to the guys who played in Utah. Mohamed El-Ewanibi, also known as, he went by Mo. Mo was a guard for BYU. He had, 2.5 rookie cards. So he had the original Pro Set with the Outland Trophy winner, and then the updated version when he was drafted in the 3rd round by Washington, along with his score card. He actually is a Nigerian-Canadian who went to BYU. He actually started at a community college in Utah called Snow College from Ephraim, Utah. It's just a little school down south from BYU. And that was his first time playing football. He was such a big guy and doing so well, he transferred over to BYU. And as the card there mentions, he won the Outland Trophy, which is for the most outstanding lineman in college football. He played 4 years with the Redskins and was part of Super Bowl 26's championship team. And then with the Eagles in 95, he was playing there, but he had a knee injury against the Cowboys in the playoffs, and that was his last NFL game. He did end up rehabbing and coming back and playing in the CFL for nearly a decade. And then the last one here to mention is Todd Bowles. You guys may know him these days as the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he is the head coach there currently. He was an undrafted free agent back in '86 out of Temple. After his playing career, he was a head coach for the Jets for a few years before going over to Tampa Bay as a coordinator and now head coach. But he had an 8-year career, 5 of those with the Redskins. Then he went to the 49ers and then back with Washington to finish things out. And he was a starting free safety in Super Bowl 22. Now that's his only rookie card, the Pro Set. However, unofficially, he's also in this card, which was the Chris Carter catch. That's him defending him as part of the Hall of Fame photo contest. So he also was featured in that. And then the last one we've got right here is Brian Mitchell. This guy actually has a case for the Hall of Fame. This is his only rookie card. It was this Pro Set prospect from the third series of Pro Set. And he was an excellent return man. So Brian Mitchell was actually a quarterback in college. He was really good at passing and running the ball. And, I would love to actually see this game, but I had read that he was once in a college football game as quarterback versus Brett Favre. And Mitchell's team actually won the game there. He was a 5th-round draft pick. And look, he's not as electrifying as Devin Hester or Primetime or Gale Sayers, obviously, but he was one of the great return specialists of all time. He finished his career with the Eagles and Giants his last 2 or 3 seasons, but he's primarily known for what he did in Washington. And so he is the second all-time leader in NFL history for all-purpose yards. The only person ahead of him is Jerry Rice. So Brian Mitchell had over 23,000 yards. And he's second only to Devin Hester in all-time return touchdowns with 13. And, to kind of give a sign of things to come, his very first play in his very first preseason game as a rookie, he returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. And he is a Super Bowl champion from Super Bowl 26. And his NFL records include most career kickoff return yards, most career punt return yards, and obviously then most total return yards. He is in the Washington Hall of Fame. He also ran for over 2,000 yards and had over 2,000 yards receiving as well. All right, and for our last team of today, it's the 1990 Green Bay Packers. After 1989 having a very successful year, going 10-6, and you can see on the far right, Lindy Infante won 1989 Coach of the Year. They actually flipped their record and were only 6-10 in 1990. The Packers team card shows a bit of Packer magic. Don Majkowski, the Magic Man, had an amazing 1989 year. It was kind of a one-hit wonder. I mean, he did okay a little bit before and a little bit after, but never really recaptured that 1989 form. Lindy Infante passed away back in 2015, but he, again, just a very, commendable career for him, and that Coach of the Year was a nice honor for him to get for sure. I will also show you some of the cards for the Packers that year. We had a Sterling Sharp for the 1,000 Yard Club card. And with the Pro Bowl, we had Don Majkowski. For fullback, Brent Fullwood. Tim Harris, the excellent quarterback sack specialist. And the great Sterling Sharp. Really like that picture too. In fact, Sterling Sharp also was the 1989 NFL receiving leader. And so that's his card right there, showcasing that. We also had some All-Pro cards. So again, we had Tim Harris, and then the All-Pro of Sterling Sharp. And we also have this Fleer All-Pro Tim Harris insert card as well as this Crunch Crew of Tim Harris. And Sterling Sharp had this Rocket Man card. One interesting card, I haven't shown these yet because I only got 2 of them when I was a kid. These are the Score Hot card from 1990. And these came in like hanger packs. You could get one of these in those. I only purchased 2 hanger packs, but I really like this insert. I think it's a really, really sharp card. I may end up trying to get the other 8 at some point. In fact, I think Don Majkowski is one of those 10. So the Packers would have had a couple there. But a really nice insert card. I really am a fan of those. And, you know, if you think of the history of the Super Bowl, you can't really go anywhere until you think Vince Lombardi. I mean, obviously the trophy is named after him. Great picture of him getting carried off the field by his team there. The Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II MVP, both Bart Starr, so those were showcased in the Pro Set subset there. And we did have, this was 25 years of Super Bowls, and so they made a Super Bowl card for that, as well as this tribute card to Lombardi the Legend. Always really loved that card. I think that's a fantastic photo. No need for any description or anything on front, just a great image of Vince Lombardi. And then we had Super Bowl Supermen, which obviously included Bart Starr. Then we had Max McGee. Marv Fleming, both for the Packers and Dolphins. He was in the first 2 at the Packers and then had a handful with the Dolphins as well. I think he went to 5 or 6 Super Bowls in all. The great Jerry Kramer, Willie Davis, the legendary Ray Nitschke, great photo there. Herb Adderley right here, a Michigan State guy back in the day. And then we have Willie Wood from USC. We've got Don Chandler as one of the kickers. And then, of course, Jim Taylor, just a really tough-nosed running back from back in the day. Brent Fullwood had a Stars and Stripes card that I picked up. And John Madden did include 2 players. I love that picture of Sharp versus the rival Bears, go Bears. And then also Brian Noble as part of that set as well. All right, next up we've got a couple of those Score Young Superstar cards, Sterling Sharp and Chris Jackie as a kicker from the little set that Score put out. And then Perry Kemp I'll make note of just because this is one of those error cards. So that's Ken Stills' picture on a Perry Kemp card. The corrected version is right here. Ken Stills, his son Kenny Stills, was a receiver for the Saints until just recently, but they were able to fix that and put in the right one. You know, I think of the Jim Taylor card, his rookie card, I think his first 2 cards were the wrong guy, whoa, there we go, which is kind of funny to have that happen twice. Okay, so hopefully my camera is not going to fall again, but I did want to mention this guy right here, Tony Bennett. So this is his Topps rookie, and this is his update with the Packers. He was a very good linebacker, very talented. He had 3 seasons in his career with double-digit sacks. His best was 92, where he had 13.5. And he also had some solid years with the Colts as well. When he retired, he was 4th all-time in Green Bay history in quarterback sacks, despite the fact that he only played for them for like 4 or 5 seasons. But yeah, lots of good rookie cards here of Tony Bennett, action-packed. You got the Score update and the original Score. And I like that Score did that. I always like seeing the rookies in their pro uniforms, but it's kind of fun to see the college as well. So anyway, yeah, great linebacker for quite a few years there. And I did want to mention Ed West as well. These are his only 2 rookie cards right here. He had played, he started in 1984 out of Auburn. He was an undrafted free agent, and he, you know, for someone who was never drafted to play 14 years, to play in over 200 NFL games, I just thought that was worth noticing. Yeah, and it took a few years for him to get a rookie card made. So yeah, nice player there for sure. Last up for today, we've got LeRoy Butler. These are his rookie cards. He did not have one for Topps, unfortunately, and also no Score update in his Green Bay uniform. But he was the 48th pick by Green Bay. He played all 12 years with the Packers and eventually earned a spot recently in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When he was a child, he had some issues where he had to wear leg braces and even the use of a wheelchair sometimes. But by high school, he was able to recover from all of that and became a star athlete. At Florida State, he played safety and cornerback. He is a Super Bowl champion with the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl 31, and he's a 4-time All-Pro, 4 Pro Bowls, part of the 90s All-Decade team. And I remember reading a story that John Madden wasn't sure if his name was Leroy or LeRoy, and that Edgar Bennett, the running back for the Packers, told Madden that it was Leroy. However, LeRoy's mom sent a message to John Madden to say, no, it's LeRoy. So I believe it's LeRoy. And he became the first defensive back in NFL history to join the 2020 club of 20 sacks and 20 interceptions. One last thing of note, LeRoy Butler is the one who invented the Lambeau Leap, which is a very common touchdown celebration, unfortunately too common as a Bears fan, in Green Bay, where when someone scores a touchdown, they jump into the stands, into the rafters, and celebrate with the fans who kind of catch them and celebrate with them. So he first did it on December 26, 1993 against the Raiders, where he forced a fumble, and Reggie White recovered and then lateraled it to Butler, who then ran it in for the touchdown and jumped up into the bleachers. And the rest is history. It's become a part of their legendary touchdown celebration and a big part of the fan interaction with the team. So I feel kind of weird saying all those nice things about the Packers, so I thought I needed to get some Bear stuff in here to feel a little better about myself. All right, so first we're going to go ahead and we are going to rip this 1990 Stars and Stripes. Right here, this is the box. This is what you could expect to get back then. It's been a long time since I've opened one of these. All right. So, here are the... oh, wow. Okay. We'll have to see how the... Oh, yeah, look at that. Holy cow. Well, that's good to know, right? And it makes perfect sense. And there's Brent Fullwood. Okay, so... Ooh. If you're ever considering opening a pack of these, I would recommend just buying the cards. Reggie, I would recommend buying the cards already opened. Oh, what a shame, too. There's a nice one in here of Jerry Rice that would have been nice. Now, the nice thing is, and Bronco Branks mentions this, I mean, you can buy a set of these for like $10. But yeah, those... I'm really glad I only bought one of those because that could have been rough. Okay, so let's go ahead and do Pro Set Series 2. Searching for an Emmitt Smith rookie card. Eric Allen, Perry Williams, LT Pro Bowl card. Reggie Rutland, Fredgie Joe Nunn, Mike Johnson, Albert Lewis, Ray Bentley, James Dixon, Kevin Glover, Dennis Brown rookie card. Wendell Davis, Pro Prospect, very cool. The American Bowl, Blair Thomas, who I thought was going to be amazing. Didn't turn out that way, but, you know, what would have been a nice rookie card back then of the day. And a Phil Simms MVP. All right, so I've got 3 more packs of Pro Set to try to get an Emmitt rookie, so we'll hope for that. But, yeah, these have seen better days. And that makes sense as well, because when you have 30-year-old candy that looks super dodgy... I mean, you think about what gum does to things, that's even worse. All right. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be back with part 4, hopefully a week from now. But thank you very much for watching. I know these are kind of long videos, so I appreciate you investing some time into taking a look back at the players and the product of 1990. Thanks again, as always, and go Bears.